subscribe to our YouTube channel, Joy Learning TV.
Hello, lovely one out there. Coming your way is a Form 1 Geography lesson on the Senior High School hour right here on Joy Learning. My name is Samuel Sechi Ado, and the trending name is Boga Sam. I am your facilitator, and I believe you've been waiting for this time. And here we are to add more to knowledge as far as geography is concerned. Mostly, when one completes junior high school and goes to senior high school, the very first topic or the likelihood topic to be treated first under geography is solar system. But the solar system is, in quote, a huge topic. And so we need to take our time, take aspect by aspect, or say subtopic by subtopic, break it down for you to understand it well. And so we are going to look at classification of planets, which is under the bigger topic, solar system. Right. So these are going to be our objectives. When I say objectives, by the time we are done with this lesson, what do I expect you to gain as a learner? Okay? And so the very first objective is to define solar system. Is that okay? So you define solar system. Then we go ahead, or say you go ahead to define a planet. Okay? Then state the 8 planets. I know someone says, don't we have 9 planets? Don't worry. Okay? You understand it. Then the objective number 4 is to use a suitable diagram to explain the 8 planets. Okay? So geography 2, we do some drawings. Then objective number 5, state the classifications of planets. Then the last one, we should be able to state the importance of the solar system. And so these are going to be our objectives. But of course, I know by the time we are done, you might have acquired more knowledge apart from these objectives. Okay. I am sure you might have heard solar system, which is found in the universe. And when we talk of the universe, we are talking of everything that exists in totality in any space at any time. Okay? And I know many people have been asking the questions. So, this Earth that we find ourselves, some scholars are saying that it is spherical. In other words, it is almost round. And then the Earth is hanging. And so one question is that if the Earth is hanging, what if one day the Earth fails to hang? Then where are we going? Then also we have the sun, then we have other planets. What at all are these planets? Okay? And in an attempt by many scholars, or say people like you and I, okay, to understand their environment and also know the relationship that exists between their environment and themselves, as in the ecosystem, people made the attempt to get answers to some of these questions. And so, you see, geography is a very interesting subject. And once you keep watching Joy Learning 2, trust me, you really understand the environment that you find yourself, and for that matter, the world at large. So, moving straight to our screen, in an attempt to find answers to the numerous questions, okay? Some of the questions that I told you not too long ago, the numerous questions about the universe, the term solar system, okay, was first used around 1704 through the discoveries of the astronomer, okay? When we talk of an astronomer, I believe you understand it. And geophysicist by name Edmund Halley, okay? When we talk of an astronomer is a person who studies the celestial bodies in the outer space of the earth, as in beyond the atmosphere of the earth, okay? And geophysicist is a person who studies the physical processes of the earth. And so we can find one here, that is Edmund Halley. Is that okay? Right. What is meant by solar system? The solar system refers to the collection of the 8 planets, okay, and their moons in orbit round the sun, together with smaller bodies in the form of asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. Please take note of these smaller bodies, the asteroids, the meteoroids, and then the comets, okay? So from this definition, we can simply put it that when we talk of the solar system, we are talking of the sun, the 8 planets, and the other minor bodies, okay? These make up the solar system. It can also be defined as the gravitationally bound system of the sun, meaning the sun is gravitationally bound. So the gravitationally bound system of the sun and the objects that orbit it. So just as the earth has force of gravity, such that if I should throw this pen into space, this pen will automatically come down. In the same way, the sun also has gravitational force. And as we delve into this lesson, you get to know that the sun is playing a major role. It is situated, as in the solar system, okay? It is situated within the Orion Cygnus arm of the Milky Way galaxy. When we talk of the Orion Cygnus, these are constellations. When I say constellations, they're spelled Constellation. Constellation refers to the groupings of stars and gases. Is that okay? So, the Orion Cygnus arm of the Milky Way galaxy, that is where the solar system is found. Now, when we talk of the galaxy, what is a galaxy? Okay? The galaxy too refers to groups of what? Stars. Group of stars. And then the group of stars where the solar system in which we find ourselves, okay, is found, is called the Milky Way galaxy. Is that okay? And so this solar system is specifically found between the Orion and then the Cygnus. So we say the Orion Cygnus arm of the Milky Way galaxy. Is that okay? Let's see whether we can get some Google images to aid our understanding. But before that, let's look at this one as well. There are a number of theories explaining how the solar system was formed. So I've told you that we have the solar system, which is made up of the sun, the planets, and the minor bodies. how was this solar system formed? We just try to crack our brains and understand nature. Okay? So many theories have come out, but when it comes to the prevailing theory, it proposes that the solar system formed from a solar nebula. A solar nebula. And when we talk of the solar nebula, we are referring to dusty and gaseous cloud. Okay? So a cloud of gas and what? And dust. Nebula. Where the sun was born out of a concentration of kinetic energy and heat at the center, while debris rotating the nebula collided to create the planet in about 4.5 to 4.6 billion years ago. Is that okay? So we have the nebula, and there was a collision of the debris surrounding the nebula, and as a result of that, we got the planets, the sun, and then the planets. So that tells you that the sun and the planets were formed at the same time. That is according to the Nebula Hypothesis, okay, or the nebula description. No, sometimes it's not easy to sort of understand some of these things, okay, because we find ourselves on this earth and then we try to, understand our universe. So as we go ahead, the understanding will come better. Now, the sun. The sun is the largest star. Okay? The sun is the largest star and has a surface temperature of about 6,000 degrees Celsius. Is that okay? When we even talk of a boiling point, if water can boil to the highest degrees, okay, that is 100. But this one, we are talking of what? 6,000 degrees Celsius. That tells you how hot the sun is. It is at the center of the planetary system and stationary, while all the other planets revolve around it. So the sun does not move. It is static. It is at the same place. But if that is the case, then how come that sometimes you wake up, you see the sun at one side, and when it's getting to the evening, you see it at the other side? That one we shall get there, okay? Let's not be in a rush. So the sun is stationary, okay? And then it is the ultimate source of light and energy to all the planets, including the earth. So the sun gives us that solar energy. Okay. Yeah, this is an image on your screen depicting the sun. You see how reddish it is. It is burning, so it looks very reddish. Is that okay? Giving you a clue about how hot the planet, the sun is. Now, let's look at planets. When we talk of a planet, what is a planet? A planet is a celestial body moving in an elliptical orbit round a star. Elliptical orbit. When we say elliptical, it means not completely circular. If we should take egg as an example, have you seen the shape of an egg? So when we talk of the elliptical orbit, more or less like something in a motion, just like the shape of the egg, although it is going round, but it is not completely circular. So a planet is a celestial body moving in an elliptical orbit round a star. So in this case, the star refers to the sun, because we said the star is the largest star. Okay, that's the sun. Now, the orbit refers to the path on which each planet travels. The path on which each planet travels, as in the way that the planet moves on, going around the sun. That path or that way is what we refer to as orbit. Ever since the discovery of Pluto in 1930, okay, we have grown up learning that the solar system has 9 planets until the International Astronomical Union, that's IAU, in 2006 designated Pluto as a dwarf planet, reducing the list of the solar system's true planets to 8. Of course, when I was at the JHS level, I was taught that we have 9 planets. Okay? But this time around, it is no more what 9, but what? But 8. So as we move along with the lesson, we would understand why the IAU declared Pluto as a dwarf planet. And for that matter, no more one of the 9 planets that we knew, reducing the list to 8. Okay? Good. Now, the 8 planets in order of nearness to the sun are, well, we've established the fact that Pluto is no more a planet. So if no more a planet, what are the 8 left? We have Mercury, Venus. I said nearness to the sun. So we are moving away from the sun to the very last planet. And so the first one is what? Mercury. The second one, Venus. Then we have the Earth, Mars. Please, the Mars, be careful about the spelling or watch it well. It is not M-A-S-S or the short form of mathematics, okay? As in M-A-T-H-S. No. This one is M-A-R-S, Mars. Then the fifth one is Jupiter. Then we have the Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. So Pluto is not part of the planets. Now, to remember them easily, one may use the acrostics. When I talk of acrostics, I mean you arranging the initials of certain words to follow a particular pattern, I beg your pardon, in such a way that you can easily remember them. Is that okay? Either you take the initials of the words or the last letters of the words, and then you use them to form a particular pattern that you can easily remember. So, formerly when it was 9, there was the acrostics like, my very eyes may just see under 9 planets. But now that is 8, let's try to get a different one. And so, I may use the acrostics, my very excited mother just served us noodles. Noodles. As someone may call macaroni or spaghetti. Of late, people like spaghetti, they like noodles. Even late in the night, they will eat. And for about 5-10 minutes, they think it has digested. Then they retire to their beds. So, my very excited mother just served us noodles. Then the 8 planets end there. It must be noted that there are other planets in places. Okay? There are other planets in places that are not found in our solar system. And these planets are called exoplanets. You know, whenever you meet a word and it is prefixed EX, it presupposes that that word is talking about something outside. Okay? And so, apart from the planet found in our solar system, we have other planets. Because don't forget that I told you earlier that the group of stars that our solar system is found is the Milky Way galaxy. Okay? And so if our solar system is found in the Milky Way galaxy, then it tells you that we may have other planets also found in the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. And so the planets that are found beyond the solar system or outside the solar system are what we call exoplanets. Is that okay? All right. So let's see. Let's look at the acrostics. The planets, we talked of 8. So we have the Mercury. So Mercury. Okay. Let's list them. After listing them, then we bring the acrostics. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. I believe you can see all. And so when you take the Mercury, then Venus, then excited. I believe you are following. I'm very excited. Then Mars, mother. Is that okay? My very excited mother. Then Jupiter, the J. Just. Then the Saturn S served us. So U, that's Uranus, us. Then the N, noodles. Is that okay? Noodles. So, my very excited mother just served us noodles. That is when you want to look at the planets from the sun. Okay? And so once you're able to remember this, definitely you know all the planets in order of nearness to the sun. Is that okay? Good. Now, let's look at the qualities of a planet according to the International Astronomical Union, that is IAU. The properties. So the properties or the qualities of a planet. Before a celestial body can be accepted as a planet, what are some of the things that we need to look at? And so one, it has to orbit around the sun. Is that okay? The planet should be able to, that celestial body should be able to go around the sun. That is number one. Then number two, it must be big enough to have enough gravity to force it into a spherical shape. And so we must have the force of gravity holding, or say bringing that celestial body together firmly. Okay? Then the third condition is that it must be big enough, that its gravity can clear away any other objects of a similar size near its orbit around the sun. And so once that celestial body is accepted as a planet, then when we check along the orbit of that planet, we should not see other celestial bodies that are likely to be of the same size like the planets. Why? Because the planets must have that gravity. That celestial bodies must have the gravity to bind itself together. And so how come we have other celestial bodies around, also close to its orbit? Then it means what we wanted to describe as a planet, in fact, cannot be what? Planet. Okay? Now, so let's see whether we can demonstrate or sort of explain the sun and the 8 planets using a diagram. So if we should see this to be the sun, okay? So the sun burning. I believe you can see. So I have my sun here, okay? Then don't forget the acrostics. My very eye. So let's assume that this is our Mercury. Okay? We have our Venus. We have our Earth. Mars is also here. Okay? And then Jupiter. Now Jupiter is bigger, so I have to increase the size. Saturn is also quite bigger. Uranus. Neptune. Uranus, Neptune. In fact, we don't have any more. Okay. So, this first one will be what? Don't forget acrostics. It will be Mercury. That is M. Mercury. Okay? Then, this one will be what? Venus. Is that okay? Then also, we talk of Earth, where we find ourselves. We talk of the Earth, where we find ourselves, okay? Then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and then Neptune. Is that okay? So this is a simple annotated diagram to explain the Sun and the 8 planets. Is that okay? All right. And so here we are. You see this one here, this color here, it represents the Sun. And so from the Sun, then you come to the Mercury, which is the first planet. So this is the Mercury. If you don't take care, you may not see it because the Mercury is smaller. Is that okay? Then from the Mercury, we are seeing that it is about 3,000 miles away from the Sun, or say 4,900 kilometers. About. Is that okay? Now, the Venus is also 7,500 miles away from the Sun, which is the same as 12,100 kilometers. This is the Venus. And this is the Earth, where you and I find ourselves. Okay? This is the... So, hey, this is very interesting. So, it means we are on this small thing. Wow. So, the Earth, the distance from the Earth to the Sun is about 7,938 miles, also 12,760 kilometers. Then we come to the mass. So if we should check the sizes, it's that the Venus and the Earth are bigger than the mass. Okay? So the mass is here, 4,200 miles away from the Sun. Then we come to the almighty Jupiter. Jupiter is very, very big. If we should look at or say consider all the other planets, Jupiter is the biggest planet. And talking of the distance, 89,000 miles away from the Sun. 89,000. Okay? Then from the Jupiter, we go to the Saturn. All right? 74,900 miles away from the Sun. And the Saturn, we go to Venus. You know, the Saturn, in terms of the sizes, it's closer to the Jupiter. The Venus is 32,000 miles away from the Sun. Then the last one, which is the Neptune, that is about 31,000 miles. So that is about the distance. Okay. Very nice diagram there. It is a Google image, please. It's not mine. All right. Now, let's look at the classification of planets. Okay? How are the planets classified? The planets are classified into the following. 1, we have inferior and superior. We have inferior and superior. Then 2, we have inner and outer. 3, we have terrestrial and major. Is that okay? And I believe this particular topic, in fact, if you have been watching Joy Learning, it has been shown on the channel severally. And so this just to throw more light on that. Okay? So the classifications, we have inferior and superior, inner and outer, then terrestrial and major. So let's take them one after the other and look at what they are. So inferior and superior, using the Earth as the reference planet. All the planets that are nearer to the sun than the Earth are called inferior planets. Are called what? Inferior planets. All the planets that are nearer to the sun than the Earth. So I believe you started saying the planets yourself. Are called inferior planets. Whereas those farther away from the sun than the Earth are called superior planets. So we have inferior planets and superior planets. I believe by now you know what inferior planets are. Those closer to the sun than the Earth. So, all right. So let's see. When we talk of the planets closer to the sun than the Earth, yes, make mention of them. Mercury. Mercury is 1. Venus. So Mercury is the 1. Venus is number 2. From Venus, then you go to the what? To the Earth. So it means that when we talk of the inferior planets, we have Mercury and Venus, using the Earth as the reference what? Planet. That of the superior, we are talking of the planets that are farther away from the sun than the Earth. That one, of course, after the Earth, go to what? Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and what? Neptune. Is that okay? So we have 2 inferior planets and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 superior planets. 2 inferior and 5 superior. So that is about the first classification. Is that okay? Now, let's look at the second classification, which is inner and outer planets. Using the position of asteroids, I told you early on when we started the lesson that take notes of the following minor celestial bodies: asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. I believe you remember. Good. So using the position of asteroids, the first 4 planets from the sun before the asteroids are called inner planets. Inner planets. So now the issue of concern is, where do we have the asteroids? So that we know. But from the statement, the first 4 planets from the sun before the asteroids, it means the asteroids come after the 4 planets. And we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. So it means that the asteroids are found between the Mars and planet, which is what? The Jupiter. Is that okay? Whilst those planets that come after the asteroids are the outer planets. So it means 50-50 or 4-4. Is that okay? If when it comes to the inner and outer planet classification, just tell yourself 50-50 or 4-4. Is that okay? Because we have the asteroids positioned after the 4th planet. Okay, so between Mars and what? Jupiter. So the first 4 planets before the asteroids are within, so inner. And then those after the asteroids are called what? Outer planets. I hope you don't forget. So hence, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are inner planets, whilst Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are outer planets. I hope this is very simple. You don't get this anywhere apart from joy learning. Okay? Good. Let's make progress. Now, this is another Google image to facilitate or sort of aid our understanding of inner and outer planets. And so what you see here, like dots, okay? That is what we call this whole region or section is what we call the Asteroid Belt. Asteroid Belt. Is that okay? Made up of big rocks in our solar system, located between the orbit of Mars and Jupiter. So we have the Mercury here, Venus, Earth, Mars. So first 4. Is that okay? Then after the 4th planet, the asteroids come. Of course, that is why we have the asteroid belt. We have many of the asteroids. So the first 4 inner planets. The last 4, or say the other planets after the asteroids are called what? Outer planets. In and what? Out. 4-4 or 50-50. Okay. Let's look at the terrestrial and major planets. This one too, how do we get it? Or how do we classify the planets under this? Now, using the size of the planet, okay? Using the size of the planet. So it means initially we talked of using the Earth as the reference planet. And then we got what? Is it inner and outer or inferior and superior? Then we got the inferior and what? Superior. And then when we came to the next classification, which was the inner and the outer, the asteroids were the issue of concern that attract the attention. Okay? Here to the third classification, what are we looking at? We are looking at size. Or say sizes. Sizes of what? Sizes of the planets. Okay? Do we have big planets and small planets? If we have, then let's see how this classification has been done. So using the size of the planet as the basis, the smaller planets such as Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. When I drew it, I did tell you that the Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are small. So when drawing, they should be of smaller sizes. But then that of the Jupiter, very big, in fact the biggest of all, followed by the Saturn, okay? And the others two also bigger than the first 4. So talking of the small planets, talk of the Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And these are called terrestrial planets, okay? As in those with smaller sizes. Whereas Jupiter, which is the biggest, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are called major planets. Major planet. Please, you need to be careful here. Or say, we need to be careful here. I have to put myself into it, okay? We need to be careful here. That the fact that we have major planets doesn't mean that we have minor planets. If you don't take care, you may take the opposite of major to be the other corresponding classification. It is terrestrial and major planets, but not minor and major planets. So please take note. Is that okay? Now, we are done with the classifications. How about the minor members of the solar system? Don't forget once again, I made mention of the asteroids, the meteoroids, and the comets. Okay, so these are small rocky celestial bodies found especially between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, where we have the asteroid belt. Okay, I mean the minor members of the solar system. They are especially found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, which revolve around the sun. Okay, I'll say revolve around the sun. Is that okay? They are too small. They are too small to be called planets. Have you seen that? Why are we referring them as, or referring to them as minor members of the solar system, but not planets? Minor members because they are not big enough. They do not meet the conditions brought about by the IAU, as in the International Astronomical Union, which make a planet a complete planet. And so we call them minor members of the solar system. Tens of thousands of them are gathered in the main asteroid belt. So we are talking of the minor members. Tens of thousands of them are gathered in the main asteroid belt. Is that okay? So in the belt, that is where you get to know a lot of these asteroids, or you find lots of these asteroids, these celestial minor bodies. Okay, so minor celestial bodies, I must say. Now we have another image here. When you check here, you see we have the asteroids. Okay, we have meteorites. We have the comets, then we have the meteors. So what's the difference between meteoroid, meteorite, and meteors? You understand it soon. Good. Now, we have another body called satellites. And satellites are also celestial bodies that revolve around the planets. Listen to this. The planets move around the sun. Is that okay? As the planets move around the sun, we have other celestial bodies that also move around the planets, meaning all of them moving around the sun. I believe you are getting it. If we should take the Earth as an example, the satellite of the Earth is the moon. So this moon goes around the Earth. And don't forget that the Earth also goes around the sun. So as the Earth goes around the sun, the moon also goes around the sun, but it actually goes around the Earth faster than it goes around the sun. Are you okay? I hope you are clear with that. Okay. With the exception of Mercury and Venus, each planet has one or more satellites. So it tells you that when it comes to Mercury and Venus, they don't have satellites. The Earth's satellite, as I told you, the Earth's satellite is the moon, which revolves around the Earth every 27.5 days. Is that okay? 27.5 days. I believe it is clear. Right. Good. So, this is an image that we need to look at. When you check this image with the blue, deep blue, sea blue, and the green colors, of course, that is the Earth. So this is the Earth that we see here. And this Earth goes around the sun. Is that okay? In other words, it revolves around the sun. And the Earth has a celestial body that also goes around it. And that body is the moon. So here is the what? The moon. I know someone has about moon. Is that white? Okay. Whether white or not, you have to keep watching Joy Learning. All right. So, but let's go back. This moon is the natural satellite of the Earth. This one is natural. Let's go to this one. These ones that you see, these are also satellites, okay? Like fans. Have you seen that? But these satellites are artificial or man-made satellites. You know, we have astronauts who have been visiting the moon, okay? And I want to believe that those who visited the moon are yet to be back. Not long ago, all right? So, we have these satellites. And in fact, previously, if you should put your TV on, the signal will be that bad. Because we may have blockades like mountains, trees, and all that. But now that we have artificial satellites in space, okay, the moment you put on your TV, then hooray, Joy Learning is on your screen. Is that okay? All because we have these artificial satellites that pick up and give us the signals very fast. So you see the satellite dish over here. Okay? We have people on board of the car, those on the sea, and others. More or less wherever you are, you get the what? The signal. Because the satellites are in space above all altitudes. Is that okay? Right. Now, the meteoroids, which form parts of the minor celestial bodies. What are they? These are rock fragments traveling in space. These are rock fragments, what? Traveling in space. And where do they come from? Don't forget the asteroid belt. We said that is the region where we get most of these minor bodies. They travel around the sun in large numbers. When they produce light as a result of the friction between them and the air, you see, when the meteoroids are traveling in space, there's a friction between the meteoroids and the air. And that friction produces light. So the moment the meteoroid produces light or begins to produce light, it is no more called meteoroid, but it is called what? A meteor or shooting star. Okay? Meteor fragment that reaches the ground is also known as meteorite. So when we looked at the image, you see it is very simple. If it is originally there, it is called meteoroid. When it begins producing light as a result of the friction between it and the air, then we call it meteor. When the meteor, that is, it becomes meteor when it gets into the atmosphere of the earth, where the light is what? Produced. And then the moment it lands on the surface of the earth, then it becomes what? A meteorite. And so even the Lake Busumtree that we have, people are of the view that the lake was created as a result of a meteorite. When it landed, then it displaced that amount of space, and once water filled it up, then we had the lake. Okay. Good. So, so this is what we call the meteor. You know, it is sorry, it is coming down with light. And then the meteorite, you see, it has landed on the surface of the earth. When it was originally in space, it was called what? Meteoroid. So please get the difference. The comet. A comet is an icy, small solar system body that, when passing close to the sun, warms and begins to release gases. This process is known as outgassing. And they are said to be large, dirty snowballs because they are made up of frozen gases such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, and carbon monoxide. That is about the comets. Is that okay? Good. So this is an image on your screen to deepen your understanding of the comet. Now, importance of the solar system. The solar system, as we've been talking about, what at all do we get from it? Sunlight or solar energy supports all life on Earth. Is that okay? It supports all life on Earth. The sun holds the solar system together and provides life-giving light, heat, and energy to the Earth. So I told you earlier that the sun is what? The solar system is gravitationally what? Bound. Okay? Or say gravitationally what? Bounded, I must say. So, because of the force of gravity, this Earth that we find ourselves remains at its original position. And it takes the sun, the gravity on the sun. The Earth supports human life. Okay? It supports human life. Oh, yes. Then smaller heavenly bodies like the meteorites can lead to the formation of lakes, just as others are saying or claiming that the Lake Busumtree that we have was as a result of what? A meteorite. Is that okay? All right. Moving ahead, the stars and other planets are believed by some people to have some important influence on human life. This belief has led to the development of astrology. And when we talk of astrology, we are talking of the study of stars. And now astrology is studied as one of the disciplines in the world. Okay? Now, the solar system helps us to know the seasons and times. So it is very important. And it helps us to know planets and how they behave. Let me give you some questions so that you try them and see. Question number 1. Define solar system. Can you do that? Yes, I know you can do. Then also use a suitable diagram to explain the 8 planets. Once again, I am Samuel Sechiado, popularly known as Bogasam. Do have a great time. We shall meet some other time. I thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Joy Learning TV.